On January 26, 1979, one of the most powerful men in American political history died suddenly in New York City. Nelson Aldrich Rockefeller, former governor of New York, billionaire heir, and the 41st Vice President of the United States, was officially declared dead from a heart attack at the age of 70. But almost immediately, the circumstances surrounding his death ignited whispers, headlines, and controversy that have never fully disappeared. Because Nelson Rockefeller did not collapse in a boardroom. He did not die in the White House. He did not pass away surrounded by family. He died in a private Manhattan townhouse, reportedly in the company of a much younger woman who worked for him. And the story that followed would quietly expose the private life of one of America's most guarded elites. Nelson Rockefeller was not just a politician. He was American royalty. Born into the legendary Rockefeller family, his grandfather John D. Rockefeller was once the richest man in the world. Oil money shaped empires, universities, governments, and foreign policy. From birth, Nelson existed in a universe of power few people ever touch. But unlike some heirs who stayed behind the scenes, Nelson wanted something more dangerous than wealth. He wanted control. He entered public life early, serving in multiple administrations, advising presidents, shaping Cold War policy, and eventually becoming governor of New York, a role he held for 14 years. As governor, Rockefeller was bold, ambitious, and controversial. He expanded public infrastructure, funded massive construction projects, increased government spending, and reshaped New York's skyline. Supporters called him visionary. Critics called him reckless. But beneath the political image was a man known privately for excess, intensity, and appetite, for power, influence, and women. By the time Gerald Ford selected him as vice president in 1974, Rockefeller was already a polarizing figure. Conservatives distrusted him, liberals feared his wealth, and Washington insiders quietly understood that his personal life did not match his public image. Still, Rockefeller ascended to the second highest office in the country. Yet his time as vice president would be brief. By 1977, Jimmy Carter defeated the Republican ticket, and Rockefeller returned to private life, or at least private on the surface. Behind closed doors, his life was anything but quiet. Nelson Rockefeller maintained multiple residences, including a Manhattan townhouse on East 65th Street. It was here, according to official records, that he collapsed on the evening of January 26, 1979. The initial public statement said he died peacefully of a heart attack, but within hours, journalists began asking uncomfortable questions. Why did emergency responders arrive so late? Why was the timeline unclear? Why did early reports mention a woman who was not his wife? Soon the name emerged. Marshack. Marshack was a 25-year-old former television reporter who had worked closely with Rockefeller during and after his vice presidency. Officially, she was his assistant. Unofficially, many believed she was much more. According to later reports, Marshack was present when Rockefeller collapsed. Instead of calling emergency services immediately, she reportedly contacted a friend, a news anchor, who then called an ambulance. By the time help arrived, Rockefeller was dead. The official cause, myocardial infarction. The unofficial narrative spread rapidly. The Vice President of the United States had allegedly died during a sexual encounter with his assistant. The story was explosive, and yet strangely muted. No full investigation followed. No autopsy details were released publicly. The media coverage was cautious, restrained, almost deferential. In any other case, this would have been front-page chaos. But this was a Rockefeller, and Rockefellers did not get tabloid treatment. They got silence. Within days, the narrative was quietly shaped. Officials emphasized privacy. Family representatives urged restraint. Major networks softened their language. Newspapers reported facts, but avoided speculation. Still, the rumors refused to die. Why did Marshack delay calling emergency services? Why was Rockefeller alone with her? Why were details sealed so quickly? The questions multiplied, but the answers never came. For some, this was simply an embarrassing personal scandal. A powerful man dying mid-affair. For others, it symbolized something darker, the way American elites controlled narratives, escaped scrutiny, and protected their own. Rockefeller's death came at a time when public trust in government was already fragile. Watergate had shattered faith. Vietnam had exposed lies. And here was another reminder that power operated by different rules. Yet no hearings were held, no investigations launched, no accountability demanded. Meghan Marshack quietly faded from public view. The Rockefeller family moved on. The country accepted the official explanation. History recorded the death, but not the full story. Nelson Rockefeller was buried with honors. His legacy remains complicated. Infrastructure, influence, ambition, and excess. He is remembered as a builder, a reformer, a billionaire politician who never quite fit the system he helped shape. But January 26, 1979, remains an uncomfortable footnote in American history. A man who had everything, wealth, power, access, died in secrecy, surrounded by unanswered questions. And it forces us to confront something timeless. Power doesn't just protect people while they live, it protects their reputations after they die. So the question isn't how Nelson Rockefeller died. The real question is why some stories are allowed to fade, while others are never forgotten. If you want more untold stories of power, scandal, and history's uncomfortable truths, subscribe for long-form documentaries like this, and comment below. Do you think the full truth about powerful figures is ever really revealed?